Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Fiona Phillips is a British journalist, broadcaster, and television presenter. She is best known for presenting the ITV breakfast program GMTV Today. Wikipedia. Born January 1, 1961, age 64 years, Canterbury, United Kingdom. There are moments in life when even the strongest voices tremble. When the people who once brought us news, comfort, and clarity suddenly become the story themselves. Fiona Phillips, a cherished face of British morning television, has just shared a heartbreaking update that left viewers across the nation in tears. With raw honesty and unshakable courage, she's spoken about living with Alzheimer's. And her words? It's awful. But what does this mean for her, her family, and all of us who've welcomed her into our homes for decades? Fiona's confession came not with fanfare, but with quiet truth. At just 62, she revealed she's been battling Alzheimer's, a disease often feared but seldom understood. Viewers were stunned. After all, she had always seemed unstoppable, smart, articulate, vivacious. But behind the bright studio lights, Fiona had been privately confronting a storm. And what made it more heart-wrenching, she wasn't alone. Fiona's family history is steeped in this cruel illness. Her mother, her father, both lost to the same disease. Could she now be living the same nightmare? Visual. Old family photos, black and white clips of her parents. Fiona has spoken before of her parents' painful decline. She cared for them both in their final years, each robbed of their memories, their personalities, their identities. To now find herself walking that same path is a cruel twist of fate. It's like watching yourself disappear, she said through tears. But instead of hiding, Fiona chose to share. And in doing so, she gave a voice to thousands silently living the same fate. Visual. Viewer tweets, messages of love and support, emotional TV reactions. The public response? Overwhelming. Messages poured in, viewers, celebrities, fellow journalists. Tears were shed not just for Fiona, but with her. Her bravery lit a fire of awareness, pushing Alzheimer's to the forefront of national conversation. GMTV hosts paid tribute. Lorraine Kelly called her a warrior. Piers Morgan admitted, "She's tougher than any of us." But Fiona's journey had only begun. Fiona's days now look different. She's learning to navigate forgetfulness, confusion, fear. Her husband, Martin Frizzell, stands by her side, a love story now tested by memory loss. "Some mornings I wake up and I can't remember what we did yesterday, but Martin always reminds me with a smile." She's begun journaling. "If I can write it down, maybe I won't forget." And with each entry, she fights to keep her identity alive. Visual. Fiona speaking at an awareness event with patients and carers. Despite her struggles, Fiona is using her platform for purpose. She urges others not to suffer in silence. There's no shame in Alzheimer's, only silence we must break. Her voice has become a beacon for carers, patients, and families nationwide. At Alzheimer's events, she's become a beloved guest, offering not just visibility, but hope. Visual. Research labs, charity fundraising events, expert interviews. Fiona has thrown her weight behind cutting-edge trials and research. Her hope? That the next generation doesn't face what she is now enduring. If my story can help fund even one breakthrough, it's worth every word. Charities like Alzheimer's Society and Cure Alzheimer's Trust have seen a surge in donations since her reveal. Scientists are listening, and more importantly, the public is engaging. Though Alzheimer's may try to erase Fiona's memories, her legacy remains vivid in ours. From fearless interviews with politicians to gentle morning chats, she shaped British media in a way few ever could. She's now shaping something even greater, a conversation that breaks taboos, one brave story at a time. Fiona may one day forget our names, but we will never forget hers. As Fiona stepped onto the stage of a local awareness event just months after her initial diagnosis, she was met with something unexpected, a standing ovation. The crowd, comprised of viewers who had grown up with her on GMTV and followers of her tireless charity work, stood united in admiration. For a brief moment, the weight of her diagnosis seemed to lift, but just as quickly, the spotlight reminded her of the reality she now carried. I stood there thinking, do they see the same Fiona, or the one who's afraid of forgetting her own name one day? That raw honesty, spoken into the microphone, stunned the room into silence. Fiona's willingness to confront the brutal truths of Alzheimer's while still advocating for others gave her a new purpose and a new following. But behind the scenes, it was a different story. Her husband, Martin Frizzell, quietly wiped away tears as she spoke. At home, the couple was learning to navigate a new normal. Reminders on the fridge, GPS trackers for walks, and the dreaded moment when Fiona struggled to find everyday words. Still, they clung to hope. In a visit that would prove pivotal, Fiona met with a neurologist who had followed her career. The doctor didn't offer a miracle cure, but instead, something Fiona hadn't expected: permission to let go of perfection. You've lived a life of clarity and control. Now it's okay to be vulnerable. You don't have to fight this alone. The advice was simple, but it shattered something inside Fiona. For so long, she had clung to her identity as the composed, smiling face of breakfast television. Now she was being told that grace could come through letting others help. This moment marked a turning point. She began documenting her daily challenges more openly, not for sympathy, but so others might find themselves in her words. What no one saw coming was her return to television. In a special segment aired on ITV, Fiona walked into a studio once more. But this time, she wasn't the host, she was the story. She allowed cameras to follow her through her routine, misplacing her glasses, rereading texts, checking and rechecking appointments. And then something remarkable happened. Viewers began flooding ITV with messages, not of pity, but of gratitude. Fiona, you've given us courage. You've made it okay to say, I'm scared too. The response ignited conversations across the nation. Her face, once synonymous with morning cheer, now became a beacon of advocacy for early-onset Alzheimer's. But would her courage hold as the disease progressed? Before her memory could slip too far, Fiona and Martin planned a quiet family trip to the coast of Devon, where her parents had taken her as a child. She brought her sons along, determined to make one last full memory with them. No cameras, no updates, just laughter, photos, and the sound of waves. One night, sitting around the fire pit, she turned to her eldest and said, "Promise me you'll remember this, even if I don't." He nodded. "I'll remember for both of us, Mom." The next morning, she forgot where her shoes were. But that moment, that memory, it stayed. At least for now. Fiona Phillips is more than a presenter. She's a mother, a wife, a fighter, and now a symbol of honesty in the face of despair. Her words echo through every living room. It's awful, but her courage, unforgettable. Let's not just watch her story. Let's learn from it, act on it, and carry her strength into every conversation we have about Alzheimer's. Because the more we remember, the less this disease can take.